Alright, so yesterday we got the long-awaited deep dive on the next hero coming to For Honor, the Warmonger. And in the deep dive, they let us know the backstory behind the hero. They showed off their moveset, the armor, the weapons, their feats, and how we'll get access to them. So as always, today, I just want to take a little bit of time and talk about that stuff and give you guys my thoughts on what we saw in the stream and to some of the feedback I saw. As always, if you do watch these videos somewhat regularly, I'd really appreciate it if you sub to the channel, as it really helps me out. But before we begin, today's video is sponsored. Our friends over at Project Orochi reached out and they are the sponsor of today's video. Project Orochi has a bunch of really nice Japanese inspired streetwear. They are currently in their 4th season, and it just so happens that a bunch of the designs are inspired by games I really like. A few of my favorites include the Ghost of Tsushima inspired Ghost tee, there is also the Shigoki hoodie and the Aramusha tee, but I now have a new favorite from their store, and that's the Gladiator tee. It even has one of our favorite sayings on it. They offer worldwide shipping and free shipping in North America, and they're hooking us up with 10% off by using the code INCREDIBLIS. So be sure to click on the link in the description to check them out. Also in the description is a link to their Instagram page. Be sure to follow to stay up to date with what's going on and to know when new releases are dropped. Again, thank you to Project Orochi for sponsoring this video, and now let's get right into it. Alright, so let's start off with how you get access to this hero. They let us know yesterday that we're going to be able to purchase this hero outright rather than them being placed in some sort of pass like before. So this hero will cost $8 and you can purchase it on August 6th. Now this raised the eyebrows of a few people because if you break down the cost of the year 3 heroes, this hero is slightly more expensive. And I think what upset some people was that it seems as though Yubi has reused a few animations from other heroes and decided to charge a slightly higher price, so we get less new stuff to look at, things like that. I'm not too upset over the price tag, mainly because the hero isn't permanently locked behind this paywall. Now, this time around you'll have to wait 2 weeks if you don't wish to purchase the hero outright instead of 1 week. So if you don't pay for the new hero, you can buy them for 15,000 steel on August 20th. If you can wait, 15,000 steel is pretty easy to earn, but 2 weeks may feel like a while depending on how this hero turns out. Now on to the topic of the Warmonger being gender locked and being locked as a female. I really don't have an issue with this. I will admit that it will always be better in my eyes to unlock a hero's gender just because I like the added customization, and of course because I'm a big fan of the voice lines in For Honor and will take as many of them as I can get. As we see with some of the heroes in the game, male and female variants will sometimes say different things and they obviously have different voices and deliveries. For example, I like playing male Gladiator because I like the delivery of his voice lines, and I play female Shinobi because I like the delivery of her voice lines. I just like options. Also, as we see with other heroes, their sizes will be different. Male Black Prior is much larger than female Black Prior. The armors are sometimes modified depending on the gender, things like that. But even in saying that, I'm not bummed out about Warmonger being gender locked. This is the character Yubi created. I think it all looks good. I'm not opposed to the voice lines per se. I like them for what they are and understand why they speak English, but I would have preferred Latin. It would have been fucking crazy if they made it to where she had responsive dialogue based off of who she's facing or locked onto and speak a different language based on which faction they are. 1 second she'd be speaking Latin, the next Japanese, stuff like that. That would probably be very difficult, and you'd need a voice actor that could deliver a lot of voice lines in 3 different languages, 4 if they did English revived voice lines, so of course that's not going to happen. As for the look of the hero, I think we can all agree that the armor they showed off looked good. The weapons they showed off look good. Just visually, they look good. I talked about the idea of their moveset having reused animations already in a video I posted a few days ago, so I won't harp on it here, but as I said there, I don't necessarily mind it, because although I would have preferred all new animations, I'm fine with how everything looks for the most part, as I assume they did so out of necessity rather than laziness or whatever you want to call it. Warmonger being gender locked is not some move to pander to feminists, and I don't think this hero is female just for the sake of being female. Of course, we'd all prefer male and female variants for the reasons I already talked about, but I just don't get the absolute rage behind some people's statements regarding this. Pretty sure I saw someone say that this is total BS and that the next step is to make the next hero's skin color locked to black, which was easily the most ridiculous thing I saw yesterday. Now let's take a second to look at their feats. So she has a set of unique feats, par for the course with new heroes these days. Her tier 1 applies a form of corruption to her blade, and anyone she hits while the feat is active will be corrupted and have an area around them that will damage them and their teammates if they are in the area of effect together. This also works if minions happen to be in the area of effect as well, as we saw, which I'll talk about in a second. Her tier 2 and 3 synergize with her tier 1. The tier 2 will heal Warmonger anytime she damages an opponent who is corrupted, and her tier 3 increases damage dealt to corrupted opponents with the corruption itself or with the standard attacks. And then her tier 4 is a corruption blast, which is an AoE blast that will corrupt any opponent within its range, meaning it can hit multiple people and the effects of the corruption will stack, including damage and healing to the Warmonger. It looks as though this is going to be a very powerful feat from what they've shown us. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I'm not a huge fan of powerful feats, as I do not like that something that is easy to activate can control or dictate the pace of a fight. I believe they should be able to influence a fight, but the fight should not revolve around feats. I feel as though these feats that we see here are going to be toned down later on down the line. I know some people love these feats. They love the idea of being able to bring heat to quote-unquote death ballers or people that gank. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for a hero who can anti-gank. I just don't believe it should be as easy as popping a feat though. They mentioned during the stream that she'll be one of the longest lasting characters in a gank situation, especially if she gets revenge, which as we all know isn't too hard to do. Stefan, I believe, says things like, should I fight this Warmonger in the mid lane or fight this Warmonger on a point in a 2v1, and that she can control the pace of a fight. I don't like that it disincentivizes fighting at all. I don't want to stray away from a hero because of their feats of all things. And if it was just the tier 4, fine. But corruption can be applied at tier 1 on a Vanguard hero. Vanguards can earn their tier 1 feats very, very early on in the game. And honestly, even if the tier 1 isn't used to eliminate an opponent, it does enough to stall for however long it lasts if there is, a teammate within the area, even if they don't apply the corruption. The fact that it's active will immediately put their opponent in a position where they must turtle to avoid being hit if they are fighting in the mid lane or in a group fight or ganking, because once they're hit, they have to immediately scramble away as to not take sustained damage over time or heal the Warmonger or give up the minion lane with all the minions just dropping. And even if they do scramble, the Warmonger can either just keep up the pressure or the opponent will need to leave the point to get away or straight up leave the minion lane and give up control. Some people are thinking of these feats as an anti-ganking tool only, as if it has no use outside of being ganked, as if it can only be used while being ganked. Like there aren't times where you'll be having a 2v2 on a point or team fighting in the mid lane or even dueling in the mid lane with this feat. It will control the pace in those environments as well. I know that you need to be hit for the tier 1 to go into effect and all, but I still think there are too many ways to land a hit, especially in 4v4s. There is one extremely salty player on PC that I run into all the time. He is probably the most toxic player I've ever come across in For Honor, and is probably the most toxic player in all of For Honor. He will not play if he ends up on a team he doesn't like. He will not back out. He'll just run into team fights and emote. And I guarantee you, if he ends up on a team he doesn't want to be on, he will just get corrupted and run into his teammates or in the minion lane on purpose. I could go on and on about the Warmonger's feats, but I want to use them first, so I'll stop here about the feats. As for what they showed on the Warmonger's moveset, I actually don't have too much to say. Warmonger looks like they're going to be a strong hero from a fighting perspective. It's just they don't really have too much new to talk about. They've got a good bash, it's feintable and can be accessed in a few different ways. Looks pretty solid. They showed off their chains, which are nice. They've got enhanced lights. They've got a cool looking parry follow-up that can apply bleed if the opponent hits the wall, and has an animation if the opponent is out of stamina. And they've got an unblockable dodge attack, which looks pretty nice. Their zone and sprint attack chain, it all looks pretty good. Nothing too crazy here, and they don't really bring anything super new to the game, which is fine and all. I'm going to use this hero. They will be good, but I'm mainly playing this hero for the fashion. And that was just about it for the most part. They let us know the backstory of the hero, and you can read up on that if you like. They also showed off the hero's armors and weapons. Again, you can find that online, which all look good for the most part. And they showed off the weapons that are going to be in the temporary pass, but other than that, there wasn't too much, mainly because the stream was really meant to show off the Warmonger, and they did that. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. I don't really have too much to say in terms of brand new content because, as I said, this wasn't like a new season reveal or anything like that. This update is really just a big update more than anything, you know, with the core combat update and then the Warmonger. They haven't shown off anything like a new map or anything like that yet, but this season has been an interesting one. As always, I do want to know what you guys think, so be sure to talk to me down in the comments about anything we talked about in this video. And as always, if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like and sub if you're new, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.